What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. I have been looking into pharmaceutical names recently, as these seem to be great picks for the long term. So to help us out, I have an analyst from CNBC to share his concerns on a specific name. So Joe, what do you have for us?
Well, unfortunately, I have to address what's going on with AbbVie, the FDA issuing today a very unexpected label warning for AbbVie impacting their rheumatoid arthritis drug. Understand that's 12% of their overall sales. So it's a big problem for AbbVie. I'll probably sell at least half here and hope that sale is a bad sale.
On September 1st, AbbVie closed at over $112 per share, with a 7% drop for the day. But selling there would still be a decent move, since the price lost additional 3.73%. On the other hand, looking into the comments, we are able to find some support for the name. Selling AbbVie, bad move man. Buy more AbbVie, strong stock with strong dividend. And then overreaction on AbbVie. So we will do what we do best and put AbbVie, ticker symbol ABBV, for a comparison against two other pharma names. These will be Merck, ticker MRK, and AstraZeneca AZN. In order to make the comparison possible, we will be looking into 8 different factors. Last 4 quarterly earnings results, annual revenue growth, analysts' price targets, forward price to earnings ratio, price to sales ratio, return on equity, current ratio, and dividend yield. The best company under each factor will get a point, so it is possible to have from 0 to 8 points, and in the end, the stock with the most points will be considered the winner of this comparison. I hope that these rules are clear enough, so let's begin. So the first factor we will take a look into are the quarterly earnings results. When a company reports earnings, they are compared to expectations of analysts. So earnings can either beat expectations, meet them, or miss them. We will consider that beating expectations is a +1, meeting +0.5, and missing 0. Then we sum the results up to a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 4, and in the end the stock with the highest sum gets a point for this factor. So here we have quarterly earnings for AbbVie, and Q3 of 2020 beat expectations, Q4 beat, Q1 of 2021 beat expectations, and Q2 beat. So with 4 beats in quarterly earnings, we get a sum of 4. Quarterly earnings for Merck, and Q3 of 2020 missed expectations, Q4 missed, Q1 of 2021 missed expectations, and Q2 met. So with 1 meeting in expectations and 3 misses, we get a sum of 0.5. Quarterly earnings for AstraZeneca, and Q3 of 2020 beat expectations, Q4 missed, Q1 of 2021 beat expectations, and Q2 beat. So with 3 beats and 1 miss in quarterly earnings, we get a sum of 3. Results for the last 4 quarterly earnings factor are in the table, and with a sum of 4, AbbVie gets the first point. Second factor is the annual revenue growth. As potential investors, we want to find that the revenues of a company are on a steady increase. We will take a look into the results of the 4 most recent years and compare them one by one. If revenue was on the increase from one year to the next, we will give it a +1, and if it was on the decrease, it will be a +0. Then we sum the results up to a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 3, and in the end, the stock with the highest sum gets a point for this factor. So we got annual revenues for AbbVie, and going into 2018 there was an increase to $32.75 billion US. Then into 2019 we had an increase to $35.27 billion, and into 2020 there was another increase to $45.8 billion. So with 3 increases in annual revenues, we get a sum of 3. Annual revenues for Merck, and going into 2018 there was an increase to $42.29 billion US. Then into 2019 we had an increase to $46.84 billion, and into 2020 we had an increase to $47.99 billion. So with 3 increases in annual revenues, we again get a sum of 3. Revenues for AstraZeneca, and going into 2018 there was a decrease to $22.09 billion US. Then into 2019 we had an increase to $24.38 billion, and going into 2020 we had another increase to $26.62 billion. So with 1 decrease and 2 increases in annual revenues, we get a sum of 2. Results for the annual revenue growth factor are in the table, and with sums of 3, both AbbVie and Merck each gets a point. Next factor are the analysts' price targets. As potential investors, we want to check how far the current share price is away from the average analyst price target. If the current price is under the average target, we will consider the stock as undervalued, and in the end the company with share price is furthest away from the average analyst price target to the lower side gets a point for this factor. So for AbbVie we have 22 price targets of analysts. They range from the lows of $105 to the highs of $144 per share. The average is at $127.01 and the current share price is at $108.15. This means that there is still 17.4% of room for the current price to reach the average target of analysts. For Merck we have 20 price targets of analysts. They range from the lows of 80 to the highs of $107 per share. The average is at $92.42 and the current share price is at $73.74. So there is still around 25.3% room for the current price to reach the average target of analysts. For AstraZeneca we have 5 price targets of analysts. They range from the lows of 66 to the highs of $70 per share. The average is at $68.58 and the current share price is at $58.78. So there is still 16.7% of room for the current price to reach the average target of analysts. Results for the analysts' price targets factor are in the table, and with most room for growth, Merck gets the second point. Next factor is the forward price to earnings ratio. It is calculated by taking the current share price and dividing it by the estimated future earnings per share. This is the standard price to earnings calculation with the difference that earnings here are predicted by analysts. So in the end, the stock with the lowest forward price to earnings ratio gets a point for this factor. AbbVie currently has a forward price to earnings at 7.74. Forward price to earnings for Merck is at 11.45. And AstraZeneca has a forward price to earnings at 13.33. Forward price to earnings ratios are in the table, and with the lowest value, AbbVie gets another point. Factor number 5 is the price to sales ratio. It is calculated by taking the company's market cap and dividing it by the trailing 12 months worth of sales. The formula suggests to be looking for a company with a low market cap and a high result in sales. So in the end, the stock with the lowest price to sales ratio gets a point for this factor. AbbVie has a price to sales at 3.56. Price to sales for Merck is at 3.7, and AstraZeneca has a price to sales at 6.2. Price to sales ratios are in the table, and with the lowest value, AbbVie gets one more point. Next factor is return on equity. The percentage here suggests how well the company is managed and if money from investors are efficiently handled. So in the end, the stock with the highest return on equity percentage gets a point for this factor. AbbVie has a return on equity at 48.86%. Return on equity for Merck is at 20.4%, and AstraZeneca has a return on equity at 25.67%. Return on equity percentages are in the table, and with the highest value, one more point goes to AbbVie. Factor number 7 is return on equity. It is calculated by taking the current assets and dividing them by the current liabilities. As investors, we want to find that the company is able to cover its debts with assets, but also that they're actually being leveraged. So in the end, the stock with the highest current ratio under 3 gets a point for this factor. AbbVie has the current ratio at 0.91. Current ratio for Merck is at 1.31, and AstraZeneca has the current ratio at 1.23. Current ratios are in the table, and with the highest value under 3, a point goes to Merck. The last factor is the dividend yield. It is calculated by taking the annual dividend per share and dividing it by the share price. A high yield may suggest that the company is sharing profits with shareholders, and that is a great passive income source that we as investors are looking for. So in the end, the stock with the highest dividend yield percentage gets a point for this factor. AbbVie pays an annual dividend of $5.20 per share, which is a yield of 4.86%. Merck's dividend is $2.60 per share, and that is a yield of 3.53%. And AstraZeneca is paying an annual dividend of $1.40 per share, which is a yield of 2.32%. Dividend yields are in the table, and with the highest percentage, AbbVie gets another point. We can calculate the results, so AbbVie has 6 points, Merck 3, and AstraZeneca 0. This means that with 6 points, AbbVie is considered the winner of this comparison. And that was it. If you got value or new ideas, then make sure to push that thumbs up, it helps the channel a lot. Which pharmaceutical names are you most interested in? Share your best picks in a comment below. If you're interested to know exactly when I buy or sell any stock, then consider memberships. By joining in, you will get access to Discord, where I share the stock watchlist and all the buys and sells exactly when I do them. This could be a great option to track my moves closely. Last week we already had a comparison on 3 other large pharma names, and there were quite a few trades in our eToro portfolio. If you are interested in any of these, then click on the video currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.